In this video, we are covering everything you need to know about traveling to the south of France, especially Nice, Monaco, and Aix. If you're new, welcome. My name is Joy. I'm a New York City content creator and I'm currently traveling through Europe for the summertime. And in this video, we're going to talk about everything about the south of France: flights, hotels, accommodation, things to do, transportation, all that jazz. So if that's what you're interested in, then definitely stay along for this video. Everything's going to include timestamps at the bottom, so you can skip to the part that you're most interested in. And I'm going to try to do my best to also add how much I spent for each item below. Okay, so let's start off with flights. If you are coming internationally to France, I highly recommend that you fly with French Bee. I flew with French Bee from Newark, New Jersey, which is one of the airports in New York. They have a red-eye flight that leaves from Newark every night at around, I believe it's like 10:55 p.m. and arrives into Paris, Orly, around, I want to say 11 a.m. in the morning. It's a super quick flight and I really found that the airline was very modern, although I feel like the way that they ran a bunch of things was definitely pretty unorganized and bureaucratic. But French Bee is known for having discounted flights to Paris. They also have locations in Miami, Los Angeles, and also San Francisco. I'm not too familiar with their other destinations. I know they have some like in the French Polynesia Islands, but the main thing I'm assuming that you guys are watching is the New York one. So my flight from New York to Paris was around mid $450. I did the middle package. You can do the super cheap one where you don't get a checked-in bag. You just get like a checked-in luggage and a small carry-on item. Or you can do the middle one where you have a check-in bag, and then the other one is like the premium one. So I did the middle one so I didn't have to pay for a checked-in bag, but I ended up bringing my suitcase on the plane. So that was kind of a waste of money. But if you want to save money, always go for like the most basic plan. You can always change the ticket up to an hour and a half of your flight, and you can cancel it and get a voucher credit as long as it's 24 hours of your flight. There's also the premium one where you can get a refundable ticket, but that one's typically more expensive, so I don't really recommend. But I really did like flying into Orly. Apparently Orly is actually closer to Paris than CDG, so I really liked it. It's also a smaller airport, so I felt like getting out of the airport was pretty fast, and it was really easy to just figure out where the train was to get into the heart of Paris. Now, let's say you're already in France and you want to get down to the French Riviera. You have a couple different options. First one is going to be flying, which is the fastest way to get down there because the flight is an hour. Unfortunately, the flight was slightly delayed, not by a lot, but a few minutes, and it did take them a really long time to load. A lot of these flights that are going domestically are like really small flights, so I wouldn't pack that much stuff because you are going to have to go from the boarding gate into a bus and then from the bus into like another destination, and you're going to be carrying your bag down a bunch of flights of stairs and then just across everything. So try to pack light. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of Europeans like really do pack light. Like they'll pack half of what an American carry-on is. I don't know what they fit in there. Like maybe it's the linen. I have no idea, but they definitely pack light. My flight from Paris to Nice, which is like the main airport that you fly into. Otherwise, I think you can fly into Marseille, but I didn't go there, so we're not gonna talk about it. I paid, after everything, $125 for my flight using EasyJet. Keep in mind, I paid a little more because I paid for like upgraded bags. I think if you do like the most basic one where you carry as much as like a European person does, it's a lot cheaper. It can be anywhere from 60 euros to like 75 euros. And if you're wondering what the conversion is right now as of August 5th, 2022, the euro and the dollar are basically the same. Maybe they're a couple cents off. Who cares? We're not gonna like get into the nitty gritty about it. So let's just say 1 euro equals $1. So yeah, it's pretty cheap to fly down to Nice. I think if you're here on holiday, then you should definitely fly because time is of the essence. But if you have all the time in the world and you're like maybe a college student that's like, I don't give a fuck, then I would definitely take the train. So let's get into the other option that you can do. You can take a train down to Paris, from Paris down to Nice. It's a 6-hour train. Apparently it's like very scenic and beautiful. I really thought about doing this, but I also just didn't really want to like spend a lot of time like traveling. So I took the plane. Also, when I looked into it, you can use this popular app or site called Omnia or Omia. I'm gonna put it like right over here. But when I was in Spain, the hostel guy like recommended this, and this app allows you to book not only flights, but train, bus, all that stuff around Europe, and it will find you the best deals. Think of it as like they're like Expedia or something, but like cuter. So anyways, I looked at that and it said that the train was basically the same amount as my flight and I would have to be sitting on the train for 6 hours. So I didn't opt for that option. However, if you do take to the train, I think the train does drop you off at Nice Villa, which is like the main train station. And that is in the heart of everything in Nice. So you should be good to go and you can go to all the other cities in the south of France from there. Okay, now let's talk about transportation while you're in the south of France. I actually think that the public transportation system in the south of France is fairly advanced and I was actually pretty shocked about it. Not gonna lie, when I got out of the airport, I was low-key going to just like call a cab, but then I saw that there was a metro literally like in the boarding area where you walk out of departures and everyone was jumping on it. You pay like $1 or €1 to basically ride the metro and you can pay for the ticket on the ticketing booth right in between the platforms and you just jump on either way to get into the city. It took me maybe 28 minutes to get from Nice airport into the downtown area, and my hotel that I first stayed at was 2 metro stations away from like the old Nice area, so it was very convenient and it was like right over there. It dropped me 5 minutes outside of my hotel. Once I got into the metro, I realized that no one was really paying for the metro. I mean, like, I don't want to encourage you guys to like do theft or anything, but I bought my ticket and then I realized like no one was really paying for it. So that was interesting, but I really like the metro because there's air conditioning on there. It does get really packed. So if it's a really hot day, the AC might not be doing as much as it should. And also like people are really smelly and it's hot and it's crowded. But for the most part, it is air conditioned. So I really appreciated that. I also loved how the metro was fairly clean. Like it was pretty modern. To me, it kind of reminds me of the air train that picks you up from a subway or like a BART, and it's like usually nicer. So I really appreciated that, and I highly recommend for you to just take the metro because you can take the metro all around Nice and then you just jump on the train when you want to get to the other city, which we're going to talk about. So when you're in the south of France, there is a train that runs through the south of France. It will take you to Cannes, it will take you to Monaco, it will take you to Aix, it will even take you all the way into Italy. And when you do go to Aix and Monaco, you want to take the train that does go in that direction of Italy. I was really confused about this when I was like on the platform. I was like, hey, are you guys going to Monaco? And they were like, no, we're going to Italy, but we were on the same train. So anyways, the train, I would buy it on the app Omnia or whatever it is, again, because when I got to the train station, there was a fat line and it was really hot. It was like 100 degrees, like 80% humidity. I was freaking dying, and there's no AC because it's Europe. So I did it on the app and you just like scan through with your barcode. I think my round trip to Monaco and back was €9. So keep in mind that's like $9. There is air conditioning on the train, but the thing that I didn't realize was that the train gets so packed. So the pros of the train is that it's convenient, it's cheap, it gets you everywhere. The cons is that they're fully packed. So they really packed the entire train to fit like the entire continent of Europe. I jumped on there and there was really no room to move. And I don't know if like people in the South, because they're like from the countryside, like just don't understand that like when you get on public transportation, you're supposed to go like all the way down. And I was like the New Yorker like yelling at people like, hey, you gotta move down. And they're all like, who the fuck is this girl? So Didn't really appreciate that. When I was going to Monaco, I went on the train and I had to stand in the stair area, which was fine. It wasn't like a big deal. It was a 30-minute train ride to Monaco. To be honest, like I do that standing in San Francisco or New York during rush hour, so it's really fine. I was just a little bummed because I was hoping to get like scenic shots while I was sitting on the train, so that was a little bit of a bummer. On the way back from Monaco though, this is when the train got a little deadly. It had like a little bit of an Astro World moment. So we were all waiting for the train. It happened to also be raining. And when the train arrived, we all were like pushing to get onto the train, but the train was already fairly much full. Then everyone was pushing, so this guy literally like fell in between the train and the platform. His leg got stuck in there, and people were so like freaked out that they were gonna miss this train, so they were pushing, and this poor guy's like stuck down there, and then people are like, stop, stop. And then I get on the train and there's literally no room, no one's moving farther down the aisle, so everyone's shoving, and it was to a point where I swear to God, I thought I was gonna have that moment with Travis Scott where I couldn't breathe because we were shoving so much and no one was saying anything. It was like all quiet, which is strange because it was mostly like Italians and French people because we're on like the Italian border, and I'm from New York, so I started screaming. I was like, get the fuck move down. I was like, I literally can't breathe. I was like, you can move up the stair, move up the stair. I was able to like push through and get up there, but it was like honestly awful because I was going to Monaco, so I dressed up. I was like fully dressed up for a Monaco moment. Monaco is like very like upscale, kind of like a Dubai or like Vegas, and I'm on this like crammed freaking train. So I get up there. When I get up there, this fucking fight breaks out. These two guys that were trying to get on the train couldn't get on the train, and they started fist fighting, and it was like the most ghetto thing ever, you guys. And I was like fully packed on this train. It was like everyone was like this close to each other. You couldn't move. Every stand that we went to, the doors would open and people would just be like, sorry, you can't get on, because it was that packed. So after riding the train that first time to Monaco, I don't think I'm gonna do it again. There's another option which I'll talk about. So if you don't wanna take the train, there is a bus that you can take. So the bus again is basically like €1, but you can take the metro all the way to the end, which is like Port Lampia or whatever. And then from there, there's a bunch of buses that will either go to Ez, Monaco, or wherever you want to go, and it's basically like a car ride. It's like a double decker. They're nice, they're air conditioned. The only thing is they're a little bit unreliable. Like on Sundays, some of them don't work, and some of them sometimes like take a long time to show up. So if you're in a rush, what I personally would do, especially if you're with a group, is I would just call an Uber. So they have Ubers in the south of France. I would say rates are like fairly much average. They're not like cheaper, they're not more expensive, but we missed our bus to Ez. And so I happened to see that there's two people at the bus stop, like a couple, and I was with this like person I met at the hostel. And so I was like, hey, it's €20 to get to Ez. Do you guys just want to split it? Because then it's like €5 each. So I just called the Uber. It was like a nice drive. It was air conditioned. It wasn't like crowded. It was safe. I personally liked it. If you're in a group, I would definitely opt for Uber. But that's just me. But if you're on a budget, like obviously take the train. I don't think every time you take the train there's going to be like a suffocation moment. I'm just letting you know that was my experience. Then the last option, which is the most expensive option, is going to be renting a car. So you can rent a car from the airport. I would say the rates are basically like in America. It's like depending on what you get, it can be anywhere from 70 to 80 euros and up for a day, but then you have to pay for all the fees and stuff. And then I don't know where you're gonna park this car, and a lot of the places in Nice like are walkable cities, so it's annoying to have to park your car. So unless you have like an apartment or a condo like outside of the downtown area and you plan on traveling a lot to other cities, I personally don't know if I would get a car. But then again, I was traveling alone, so like I didn't really see a point in getting a car. Now keep in mind, all of these options don't take you to Saint-Tropez. So Saint-Tropez is probably like the most well-known area of the south of France, or like where all the Americans want to go. It's known as like a party city. It's a very upscale, it's very bougie. It's kind of like Vegas, and it's where a lot of like people go for their honeymoon. There is a famous like beach club there, like Nikki Beach. I didn't go because Saint-Tropez is really expensive and I was traveling alone, and I also just wanted to save that experience for if I was with my girlfriends or if I was with like a partner. I think there was like enough things for me to do in the south of France that didn't include Saint-Tropez, and also the rates were like just super expensive. So I didn't go to Saint-Tropez, but yeah, that's like just something to keep in mind. Let's talk about moving to hotel accommodations. I stayed at 2 different places. I stayed at a cheap hotel and I also stayed at a hostel. So I am not going to share where I stayed for the hotel because personally, like I didn't really enjoy it that much. I booked this hotel from booking.com mainly because it was refundable and it had like same day cancellation, and I really just like don't know what I want to do when I'm traveling, so I'm very indecisive, so that's why I booked it. It said on booking.com that there was air conditioning, and when I got there, there wasn't air conditioning, which is really common in Europe. Like Europeans don't really believe in air conditioning. Sometimes they don't even have fans, which is like so fucking weird. So don't understand how a first world like nation doesn't have air conditioning. But anyways, I got there was no air conditioning. It was like one of those like stereotypical like just like run down like beach hotels, which I knew what I was getting myself into. Like it was like a very cheap hotel. It was like, I think it was like maybe like $70 a night or something like that. And from the pictures, it just seemed like a white room with like a white bed, but the bed was like really shitty. Like I'm pretty sure it was like crooked and slanted and like indented in many ways. There was like 2 French windows that would open up into like a parking lot, and you had to keep the window open because it would get so freaking hot in the room. There was no ventilation in there, and they just had like one of those like basic fans that would go on, and it was so hot and humid. I literally wanted to die. I think it used to be a room and they built like a shower in it that wasn't supposed to really be in the room because the shower was like so dingy. Like there was no ventilation in the bathroom, so it would just stay humid the entire time. And I mean, I feel bad because the owner or like the manager of the hotel was so sweet. I really did like him, but there was just like a lot of issues with the hotel. I also didn't realize that when I booked the hotel that the toilet was in the hallway. So even though I had a bathroom in my hotel, I had to go outside just to pee, and it just felt like not great, if that makes sense. The Wi-Fi was also really slow, so I couldn't upload my last video. Like I could edit there in the freaking heat, but other than that, like it was just not a good vibe. So the last night that I was there, Sunday into Monday, I couldn't stay there because they were fully booked. So I ended up booking a hostel. I use Hostel World. I also use hotels.com and booking.com to find hostels. Hold on a second, my battery's dying. Yeah, going back to it. I use these sites when I want to find hostels, and one thing that I look at when I'm looking at a hostel is, does it have a Google or WeWork kind of vibe? Meaning, is there a common area where people can work? Is it updated and set up for socializing? Or is it kind of just like a dingy place where you have a hotel and you know, it hasn't been renovated since like 20 years ago. So you can kind of get the vibe. Like, trust me, if you look at the pictures, you will get the vibe. I found a very cool hostel. It's like Saint something, but I'll put the name over here. I freaking love this hostel. It's definitely something that's probably catered more for someone who is post-grad or mid-20s, which I think most hostels kind of are, but it was pretty affordable. I think it was $66 per night. You do have to pay like $4 for city tax when you arrive, and you have to put a $3 like deposit for the key in case you lose it, but you get the key deposit back. I really love this place. I think it's great for people that are solo traveling because they definitely have a living room area where you can just hang out. There's even like, I want to say this like little hammock area that hangs from the top floor down. It was like a little sketchy. There was a beanbag, and they have a giant lobby or kitchen area for you to eat, and they have breakfast in the morning. They even had a gym in the basement, which I was really impressed with, and they have a secret living room area if you open one of the walls where they have like happy hours and stuff at night. So it's great for you to socialize if you're traveling alone. I had no issue meeting friends when I was there, and it was definitely refreshing to socialize and be around other travelers that were going through the same thing, especially after living alone in the apartment in Paris and then also having the apartment or the hotel in Nice by myself. I definitely felt like I needed to socialize, and everyone there is traveling alone or they're traveling with like their friend group for the summer, so everyone has that attitude that they want to meet other people. So if that's something that you're looking for, I highly recommend it. I believe they have private rooms, but I ended up booking the only thing that was available, which was an all-girls dorm. So you can book an all-girls dorm, you can book a co-ed dorm, and then you can also book a private dorm or room. So I guess this is a great time to answer any questions if people just don't understand what hostels are. To me, hostels are adult camp. It's basically camp. You sleep in a bunk bed and there are other bunk beds in the room. You will have a locker to lock your stuff up so it's safe. Some hostels will give you a locker or like a locker key, but some of them don't have lockers, so always bring your own locker in case you want to lock your stuff in there. There's also usually places for you to store your bags if you check in early, which is why I love hostels, because they're open 24/7 because people are constantly going in and out. So if you want to arrive early or if you're arriving late, usually there's always someone there to let you check in your bag. So I highly recommend hostels for at least half of your trip, because then you have someone to talk to or like somewhere to socialize. This hostel also had little events going on for people staying there. So there was a bar crawl at night. They did a free walking tour. There was a scuba event, a hiking event, day tours that you can sign up for, all the other things. I didn't look into it that much because I was only there for a day, and I mainly went there early just because most hostels are catered for digital nomads, so they have high speed internet, and I really needed to upload the video, so that's why I went. But I would highly recommend the hostel. Check it out over here if you haven't. It's right below. Okay, last thing for hotel accommodations is Airbnb. I definitely found Airbnbs in Nice that were farther away from the downtown Old Nice area, and they were for pretty affordable rates, like $60 to $80 per night. I didn't do it, but I would definitely check those out. Other hotels that I recommend is Hotel Amour. So Hotel Amour was right next to the hotel that I first stayed at, and they actually had a beach club on the beach. So in Nice, we're gonna talk about this, but there's like private beaches that you can rent a day bed at, and they also had a location up the street. I didn't end up staying there because it was $250 per night, but if you're looking for a boutique style hotel that just has like very cute modern aesthetic touches, I would definitely stay at Hotel Amour. It is completely pink. It has like tropical like decor inside, but not tacky, don't worry. It was like very cute. There's also Hotel Negresco, which is where a lot of like famous old Hollywood celebrities would stay at, like Grace Kelly. Bill Gates even tried to buy the hotel and gave them a blank check because he loved it so much, and the owner turned him down. But I would definitely check it out. Apparently they have like a really great Negroni. Check it out, it's pink. It's outside. A lot of buildings in Nice are like very colorful and pink and like yellow. I think because it has a lot of Italian influence, but I really liked those two, so I would definitely check them out. You can also check out Hotel, I think, Castor, which is closer to the downtown area, and it's like where the little like area turns. They have a really cool cabana thing over there as well. Okay, now I want to break down into things that you can do while you're in the south of France. We're going to talk about Nice, Monaco, and Ez, because those are the areas that I went to, but I will wrap it up at the end with other things that you can explore when you are in the south of France that I'm definitely going to be checking out next time I'm there. So let's start off with Nice. You definitely want to hit up the beach when you are in Nice. Keep in mind the beaches in Nice are all rocks. A lot of the times in Europe, beaches don't have sand. It's not like California. Don't think that it does. And these rocks are kind of hard to walk on. You can buy these jelly shoes like in the south of France at these stands, and that should help when you're walking on the rocks. I didn't. I was a cheap fuck and I ended up eating shit. So keep in mind when you don't have a paid place to stay on the beach, it can be really rocky. I would try to bring like more than one towel so you have a nice little cushion, and definitely bring your own umbrella if you don't want to pay for the paid beaches. I didn't stay at a free beach because I didn't have any of that stuff. I saw a day club when I was walking down, which is Hotel More. I ended up really loving it. It had those like quintessential blue, white colored umbrellas, which is always like what I wanted to stay at. They also had these cushioned blue beach benches or cabanas that you could lay on. The other ones that I looked at didn't have cushions on them. This one did. And they also had a path in between the rocks to get to the beach, which some beach clubs do not. And I also liked how they had like pink little flowers in between the rows, and the pool boys were really cute. So I paid for Hotel More Beach Club. I paid 35 euros for one day, and you have to pay 5 euros for the towel, but just bring a towel so you don't have to do that. I think it's personally worth it. When I got to the beach club, it was 9:30 a.m. because I took a really early flight and my hotel wasn't ready. So for me, it was like a great area for me to sleep. There's like umbrellas that they move around for you as the sun moves, so you have shade, and the pool boys are cute, so it's always nice when they're doing that. And then you're right on the beach, and you can order coffee there, you can order food. The food's kind of like small portions, and it's like definitely more expensive, but they don't allow you to bring food from outside, and you can't leave once you're in the beach club to go outside. I did. I just begged them because I needed to get my Kindle. So I paid for the beach club ahead, and I ran up to my hotel to grab my stuff. They do have chargers there, so if your phone runs out of battery, don't worry, they'll charge your phone, and it charges really fast. There's also a dining area for you to sit there and eat, or you can just eat on your daybed, which is what I did. There's also showers there for you to shower outside after you go into the sea, and there's also bathrooms inside, so highly recommend. It does close at 6, and then at 7 there's a live band and a party that is on stage there, so it's really fun for like a younger crew. There are other beach clubs in the area that are more catered toward like families and adults. I didn't check those out, but I know other beach clubs can start for 22 euros a day and then up. Keep in mind, some of the beach clubs are only available for hotel guests. Hotel More was available to all guests, and they were available when I wanted to go, and I highly recommend them. I think it's so worth it to have a private beach for the day. Maybe it's like the jaded New Yorker in me thinking like $30 is like fine because that's like 2 drinks in New York, but I personally loved it. I think I spent like $60 there each time that I went, so for me, it was completely worth it. The next thing that you can do in Nice is check out the old Nice area. So if you go toward where the statue is, there is like these windy small alleyways behind the main street, and it has a lot of like Italian inspired buildings over there that are yellow, and in between there's a bunch of restaurants and shops that you can hang out at. The food was kind of expensive for where I was, and I found that the pasta was kind of subpar. I wasn't really impressed. I was kind of disappointed, but the atmosphere is great. There's a bunch of restaurants in that area and a bunch of shops. I also recommend that at night you go on the boardwalk and just sit along the boardwalk with your friend or yourself, and like bring like food and drinks and just like watch the beach at night, because the lights do pop up and it's really pretty. What other things could you do in Nice? There's definitely a huge shopping center in the middle, but I didn't really absorb that because personally, like, all those shops are available in America, so I wasn't really that like inclined to do any of that. That's basically it. There's live music on the boardwalk. It's just like your beachy kind of vibe, so highly recommend just chilling at the beach when you're in Nice. Now, let's say you want to turn it up a little bit and you want to go to Monaco. Monaco is its own country, about 30 minutes northeast. It's east of Nice. So you have to take the train for 30 minutes, or you can take the metro to the bus for 40 minutes, or you can drive for I think 20 minutes. And When you're in Monaco, it drops you off at the station and then you walk up the hill. You will see the famous Monte Carlo Casino, which is where they filmed James Bond. And then there's a bunch of other luxury buildings or like luxury shops around there. So like Dior, Chanel, Louis Vuitton. I think the Tax Facts also works over there. So a lot of people like going there for shopping. There's also a huge indoor shopping mall if you go down, but I didn't really care to go shopping. And then there's also a Nobu and a Nikki Beach. Mainly you go to Monaco to like just see like the glitz and glam. There are a bunch of giant yachts there. I think the Russian oligarchs definitely keep their yachts there. I don't know if they have them anymore, but there was a ton of yachts. I was like so impressed by how big they were, and there's a bunch of fancy European cars that will drive by, like Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, all that jazz. You would definitely dress up when you're going to Monaco because it's a glitzy area. But personally to me, like 1 hour was enough there. I didn't really care to spend that much more time. I will say the best thing of my trip was going to the little village of Ez. Ez is a tiny medieval village that is at the top of a mountain in the south of France. It's the stop before Monaco, or I think something like that. So it's a little bit east of Nice. You can take the train or you can drive. If you take the train though, you do have to walk up that giant hill. So I recommend for you to Uber or take the bus because the bus drops you off right at the bottom of the castle. So when you get to Ez, there's this famous castle. It's called like Chateau something Ez, but basically I think it's where they filmed Beauty and the Beast. And it's a medieval castle. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. There are views of the entire French Riviera from the top. You can grab a cocktail or a juice at the very top. It's very expensive. If you go to this one, I think it's called like a sheep something, but you have giant views and a coffee was 15 euros. So it was definitely expensive, but it's definitely worth it if you want to get a picture, or you can just go up there and take a picture and just like run off before the guy like yells at you. But I highly recommend checking out the castle. It was my favorite part of the entire trip in the south of France. Also, when you are in Ez, they also have like an exhibit where they make all the perfumes in France. So I definitely check that out as well. Now, there's some other things that you can check out when you're in the south of France, which is other fun beaches. I will put all the names over here. You can also go to Cannes. Cannes was famous for like the festival, film festival that they have every May. But other than that, there's not really that much to do in Cannes, is what people have told me. Like there's like 2 main streets where they have like the same shops that you would see anywhere else, like a Dior or something like that. And then they have a farmer's market once a week. They do have a sand beach, but to me, like if I'm gonna be at the beach, I wanna like have all the amenities. So I didn't opt on going to Cannes. You can also go to Saint-Tropez, which is what I talked about earlier, but I did not go to Saint-Tropez. So that is basically everything that you need to know about the south of France based on my experience. Keep in mind, this is my experience and there's probably way more experiences that you can have. I highly recommend checking out the south of France and going for your summer vacation. I would definitely go earlier in the summer because it was pretty hot when I went. And I hope you like this video. If you guys want more videos about the south of France or more like travel vlogs, definitely give this video a like and a thumbs up. And if you want to join our family and watch more videos, definitely consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video and thanks so much for watching. Bye!